Hello and welcome to another episode of Maritime Mishaps, the newest channel from Top 5s, where we bring you the most interesting, shocking, and often bizarre stories from the ocean. Whether it be the naval campaigns from the Napoleonic Wars, or Allied resistance accounts from Nazi Germany, to the more recent sinking of superyachts and tales of thalassophobia, the ocean contains many adventures and tragedies. In today's fast-paced world where money is king, the transportation of goods is paramount to the global economy, startup businesses, and to consumers who wish to purchase goods from overseas. Whether it be commercialized business-to-business cargo or a birthday present for a loved one, never has it been so easily accessible and quick to send and receive consignments across the expansive bodies of water that encompass our little planet. The supply chain never sleeps either. Around-the-clock pickups, departures, arrivals, and deliveries are often the backbone of our businesses, stores, and, dare we say, survival. The COVID-19 pandemic certainly tested the strength of the logistics and freight forwarding industry, something that, thankfully, weathered the storm and continued to keep things moving throughout the coronavirus years. You only need to watch a few videos on YouTube of container ships struggling on the high seas to witness how the brave individuals aboard such vessels battle the elements to safeguard and provide the services expected of them. There are, however, on occasion, horror stories that have resulted in mass overspills of containers into the ocean, with many commercial ships buckling under the pressure of Mother Nature's wrath. In today's video, we will examine what many claim to be the most expensive shipping container disaster ever recorded, the story of the MOL Comfort. Join us as we investigate what happened to the vessel itself and break down the timeline of events that resulted in such a disaster being etched in maritime history for all the wrong reasons. As ever, with any major disaster or tragic event, we must go back to the beginning and determine the source of the issue and gather the facts, figures, and information before coming to terms with what eventually happened. In the case of the MOL Comfort, we need to look at the spec of the vessel and a brief history of its mechanics before getting into the transit schedule and journey that commenced before disaster struck. The MOL Comfort was a Bahamian-flagged post-Panamax container ship, chartered by Mitsui OSK Lines, and operated mainly within the Indian Ocean. It was one of 12 ships with a similar design, and was able to carry more than 8,000 TEU, which stands for 20-foot equivalent units, a colossal amount of weight and cargo on one ship. Having previously been named APL Russia until 2012, she was initially launched in March 2008, and conducted business with her designated region for 5 years before things took a turn for the worse in the summer of 2013. During her crossing from Singapore to Saudi Arabia via the Indian Ocean, the MOL Comfort, along with the 7,041 TEU on board, would encounter trouble on the unforgiving waters. The scale of the disaster can be interpreted in the fact that the Comfort measured in at a whopping overall length of 316 meters, with a molded beam of 45.6 meters and fully laden draught of 14.5 meters. Measurements were recorded at a deadweight tonnage of 90,613, with a net weight of around 49,000 tons and a gross of about 87,000 tons. On deck, a maximum of 4,616 TEU was allocated, along with 3,494 in the holding section. It was considered too large to sail through the Panama Canal, thus gaining its reference title as a post-Panamax container ship. Being a super-large vessel, the MOL Comfort was propelled by a single, low-speed, two-stroke crosshead diesel engine coupled to a fixed-pitch propeller. The main engine was 11-cylinder licensed manufactured Mitsubishi Sulzer 11RT Flex 96C and was rated at 62,920 kilowatts and was capable of propelling the ship at 25.25 knots or 29.06 miles per hour. She also had 6 auxiliary diesel generators with a combined output of 14,625 kVA. That is a lot of power. The Comfort's sister ship, MOL Creation, which was built in 2007, was the first container ship classified by Nippon Kaiji Kyokai to use ultra-high-strength steel with a yield strength of 470 MPa to reduce the steel weight by avoiding extreme plate thicknesses. Nippon Kaiji Kyokai is a ship classification society also known by its brand name, Class NK, and is a non-profit, non-governmental organization working with shipping lines to prevent marine pollution. So, with all the stats, history, and information relating to the structure, speed, and capabilities of the MOL Comfort, let us now turn our attention to the lead-up and disastrous events that occurred in 2013. In order to understand the severity of the disaster, it is probably best to gain an overview as well as a timeline of the events as they occurred, considering the actual cause of this disaster is still deemed to be unknown. The final cost for insurers is estimated to be somewhere between $300 and $400 million in claims, where, in 2014, more than 100 companies had pre-lodged lawsuits against the builders of the vessel, claiming that the accident and loss of cargo was caused by a design flaw. On June 17, 2013, the MOL Comfort came upon extreme weather conditions approximately 200 miles off the coast of Yemen. At dawn, the ship encountered a massive crack within the middle of the vessel and thus split in two. With an immediate realization that there was nothing they could do, all 26 crew members, which consisted of 14 Filipino and 12 Russian seamen, abandoned ship and onto nearby rescue vessels, inevitably escaping with their lives. According to officials at the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center in Mumbai, 3 ships were consequently diverted to the Comfort: MV Hanjin Beijing, MV Zim India, and MV Yantian Express, for the daring rescue operation. In the hours following the ship breaking in half, both parts remained afloat, with most of the cargo remaining intact. Reports by the Indian Coast Guard were broadcast across the internet, news bulletins and social media outlets, confirming that the MOL Comfort sank into the Arabian Sea. It all happened when the crack in the vessel's hulls tore through the ship, which most likely developed as a result of tensions and wave forces that occurred during sailing in rough seas, which reached up to 6 meters. This resulted in water ingress in one of the vessel's holds in the midsection area, and this culminated into the thrusting and scattering of all the containers on board into the adjacent area of the ship, and a subsequent, yet still undetermined, oil spill occurred. So let us now go through the events and dates of the aftermath in a bit more detail to try and determine what followed. June 18, 2013. According to reports from the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center, or MRCC, in Mumbai, certain parts of the MOL Comfort were still floating in the waters and were being monitored by their staff at the tracking center. At this point, many within the industry were speculating as to what had happened to the vessel. Theories such as the possibility of poor loading and stacking of the containers on board may have resulted in unnecessary pressure on specific areas of the ship's hull, causing the ship to buckle. Throughout the day, more theories began to pour in. Some considered that an undetected structural defect may have caused expansion and structural failure, while others simply put it down to the adverse weather conditions. June 20th. According to the operator of the vessel, Mitsui OSK Lines, the aft part of the Comfort was located in the water under coordinates in an east-northeast direction. At this point, however, the status of the fore part of the ship was still to be found. Treacherous weather conditions were impacting and delaying the search. A patrol boat had then been dispatched from the port of Jebel Ali in the United Arab Emirates and was due to arrive at the ocean site by the 24th of June. Reports claim that the majority of the containers aboard the MOL Comfort were situated on the aft section of the ship. At this point, MOL had contacted and employed a salvage company to recover the vessel's hulls and whatever cargo was feasible. No major oil spills had been reported in the vicinity either. June 24th. A week after the disaster, SMIT Salvage was contracted under the Lloyd's Open Form, a standard form contract for proposed marine salvage jobs, to mobilize a team from both Singapore and the Netherlands in order to implement the colossal recovery operation. On the same exact day, the first tug with a salvage team on board arrived at the location of the vessel and connected the tow line to the bow section and began towing the section towards land. June 25th. After another sweep of the area and expanding waters, reports detailed that the fore and aft parts of the vessel were still floating on the sea and may be salvageable. Confirmation of the container damage was still to be determined, the majority of which were still on board the broken parts of the Comfort. Due to the severity of the damage, MOL had then initiated safety inspections on the Comfort's sister vessels to recheck their current condition and to ensure that they were able to cope with similar weather conditions. June 26th. The bow section of the vessel had then been towed to a port of refuge. June 27th. Unfortunately, before the second tugboat was able to connect to the stern, the section was trimmed due to the ingress of water and resulted in its sinking to 4,000 meters below the Indian Ocean, along with 1,700 shipping containers and 1,500 tons of fuel. MOL reported that the aft part of the container ship sank in the vicinity of nearby coordinates. July 1st. MOL released another update to confirm the location of the fire and that the parts were being towed by vessels of the salvage operation companies. Inevitably, more and more photographs, videos, and speculative theories have been released and expressed online. July 6th. To add more devastation to the now highly publicized incident, a major fire broke out within the rear section of the bow. Sadly, due to the never-ending weather conditions, it was impossible to get the blaze under control, resulting in most of the containers being destroyed by the flames. The following evening, the damaged bow section also sank to a depth of approximately 3,000 meters, along with 1,600 metric tons of fuel oil in the tanks. The cause of the fire is still unknown and remains a mystery to this very day. July 10th. A detailed overview, analysis, and container count led to a calculation of over 2,400 containers being destroyed by the fire. As with any disaster, maritime or otherwise, it's important to remember those who either perished or who were lucky enough to escape with their lives. The fact that no one died that day in 2013 is a miracle, and something that everyone involved in the operation and industry should be grateful for. With regards to what caused the accident, the general consensus is that underdeclared container weights may have been the root explanation behind the structural failures within the MOL Comfort. Michael Gray, the London correspondent of BIMCO and holder of a British FG Master Certificate, stated the following in Clay Maitland's blog. The smart money must surely be on the stress induced by underdeclared container weights, which shippers routinely refuse to take with any seriousness whatsoever. Interestingly, another container ship, the MSC Napoli, which was deliberately run aground at Lyme Bay in the UK to avoid an environmental disaster and then broken up by salvors, was investigated by the Marine Accident Investigation Branch. Their findings stated that, after weighing all of the containers recovered from the beached wreck, they discovered that a substantial number of them were in excess of the manifested weight, which was used to plan the stow. Such failures have been attributed to the MOL Comfort ever since. As of 2017, the loss of all 4,293 containers on board is the largest number of containers lost in a single event. As the maritime industry continues to play its part in the transportation of goods across the globe, we tend to forget just how dangerous the task of loading, stacking, and routing high-value and heavy containers on container ships actually is. In today's fast-paced world, the requirement of goods, whether it be commercial or otherwise, is in constant demand, and so the urgency of port connections and sailing schedules often overshadows the precautions one must take to ensure that the journey goes safely to plan. Thankfully, incidents such as the MOL Comfort disaster are uncommon. However, every now and again, Mother Nature reminds us just how dangerous and treacherous the ocean can be. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Maritime Mishaps. Take care, and as always, we will catch you on the next voyage.